Hey guys, stay-patient here, and yes, I am still a bit ill unfortunately, but I'm back with a guide for yet another super quick and easy platinum. Her Majesty Spiffing can easily be completed in 45 minutes, making it as fast as My Name is Mayo. It is however rather expensive. £15, $18.50 or €18 is a lot to spend on a game that's shorter than a single Telltale episode. It is funny and well written, but you may want to wait for a sale or price reduction. There could be another reason to pick up a copy though. At the end of the game, the devs hint at there being some sequels if this first release sells well, so the more people that buy it, the more likely we are to receive further quick and easy platinums from this potential franchise. Before we start, I'll briefly explain how the controls work in this game. As opposed to actual point and click titles, you have direct control of your character here, just like in the Telltale releases. When you approach an interactable object, an X button prompt will appear. If you hold it down, you'll see 4 options that you can select using the analog stick. Up is always the interact option, which will pick the object up if you can do so, or open it or turn it on depending on what it is. You hold right to talk to the item, if it's a person that is. Down will use an inventory item with the object, whichever one is currently equipped. To access your inventory so you can equip items, you press triangle. And then the left hand option is examine, which you can also do by just pressing square on the object rather than holding X. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we've started the game and you join us sort of partway through the introductory cutscene here. Now you can't really skip cutscenes in this game, but you can skip some dialogue. It's a bit weird, some of the dialogue is skippable, other bits of dialogue aren't. So you can pretty much just tap the X button during the dialogue sequences and it will say in the top left, you notice there it says skip disabled, or occasionally it will come up with the X button prompt implying that you can skip. But if you want to speed through it quickly, obviously you can just tap the X button. You'll see there that I'm tapping it, and now it's become available. Now we're going to speed through all this dialogue here. You just need to say everything basically. Now we are going to examine Aled here, and you need to examine him over and over again. Now remember I said that you can hold X and use the left option like I just did then, or you can just press square on him, and you'll see that we're hovered over him at the moment. You can't move your cursor, it's just that we're sat next to him, and you need to press square several times until the trophy pops.
It's starting to creep me out.
Now once you've done that, you're going to exit the chair with circle, and a trophy will pop that didn't pop during this playthrough because I'd already done it. But once you've done that, you want to interact with the tray table on the back of your seat, and then grab this sort of safety booklet. And we are going to press triangle to bring up our inventory and examine the safety booklet, and then we need to turn it around with the analog stick and then press X to grab the paperclip. So once you've done that, we're going to leave this room, just interact with the door. Remember, interact is the sort of up option. And we need to do the same with, we need to examine this gravity simulator just to the left of the door we came out of. So you want to use the left option, or you could have just pressed square on it, and that's going to pop another trophy. Now you notice I ran there, that's R2, you hold the R2 button to move quicker. And we want to move into this room here at the end of the hallway. Now once inside, we're going to come up to this computer on the back wall, and we want to equip the paperclip in our inventory, and we're going to use that on the floppy disk drive.
Let's see if prodding this around fixes anything. Aha!
Now that's going to allow us to grab the actual floppy itself, so take that, and then we want to go into our inventory and examine the disk. So choose the examine option and then spin it round, and then you'll have the opportunity to press X on that lock little switch on the back. So you want to press that to unlock the floppy, because we're going to be using it later. Now you can walk back towards the screen, and we're going to pick up this video game controller from next to the TV. Now we can head into the kitchen, which is this room here on the left. And the first thing we want to do is talk to Gertie, which is this sort of tea making robot in the back corner. So you're going to use the right option in your interact menu. Just keep doing this until the bring me my detonators trophy pops. Basically we're just going through all of the dialogue options, and eventually we'll circle back round and they'll start repeating themselves.
just as bad for you as it was for the rest of us. You know, we have a lot in common. In the movies, the evil villain always ends up being the super...
And I think any moment now the trophy should pop up.
What are your prime directives?
There we go. Now what we want to do is walk back towards the screen to the table, and we're going to pick up both of these mugs. One of them is Alid's and one of them is ours. Alid's one has the Welsh flag on it, and ours is the British flag, or English, or United Kingdom, whatever you want to call it. And from here, we are going to basically make the tea that we're here to make. So we need to equip one of these mugs and use it on Gertie. And we need to do that with both mugs so that they're both full of tea, and then we're going to somehow kind of put them in storage and they're not going to spill.
It really takes the misery out of making tea.
Once again, just as with my Day of the Tentacle guide, I'm going to go quiet occasionally because I'm still coughing away here. Hopefully I'll be over it fully soon and I can get back to normal. The next trophy involves trying to, well, sort of trying to poison Alid. So we need to equip the Welsh tea. Actually no, we need to grab this fairy liquid on the left first. So this green bottle of washing up liquid. And now we are going to go to our inventory and click combine on the washing up liquid and try and combine it with the Welsh tea, the tea with the Welsh flag on, which is like the red dragon. Once we've done that and popped that trophy in Conceivable, we can open up this fridge here and grab the cheese. So we need to take that, and then we're going to be making our way back to the cockpit. Now there are a few occasions, in this game that involve creating a save, earning a trophy, and then reloading the save, because some actions lock us out of trophies later on. So we want to earn them on a separate save and then revert back to before having carried out the action itself. So we're going to do that in a moment. We want to make our way out through all these doors, back the way we came, and then we're going to sit back down in our seat. And this is the point at which you want to make your first save. So we're going to save the game in any of the slots here. And now what we need to do is equip our own tea. So go to your inventory and make sure you equip the mug with the Union Jack on, and then we're going to give that to Alid. Now this is going to pop the Sharing is Caring trophy, but it's going to kind of skip us forward in the story, and we're going to miss the opportunity to earn the next trophy we're going to get. So as soon as the trophy pops, you want to reload the reload the save that you just made.
It's got your saliva over it and everything. That is totally against health and safety.
I think you're overreacting.
It's got your saliva on it.
There we go, there's the trophy. So we can reload the save straight away. And this time we're going to be handing him his mug, his actual mug, which is of course the Welsh flag. We've already got it equipped. You might not have it equipped naturally, depending on what order you made the tea in. So just make sure it is the sort of green mug with the red dragon. Give him that, and that's going to continue on the story for us. At this point, he's going to ask us to take over control of the ship, because he wants to drink his tea. So at this point, there is a trophy we need to earn while flying the ship. It basically involves flying into an ejected fuel cell. Now the ejected fuel cells, or the fuel cell, will eject if you keep pressing buttons on this sort of, well, what do you call it, cockpit, I guess? So basically your right analog stick moves your right hand and the left analog stick moves your left hand. And when you press X, as long as a button's highlighted, eventually it will inform you that a fuel cell is ejected, and you'll see it there to our right. And you can grab the sort of thruster, the throttle on the left there, to speed up. So when you see the fuel cell fly past you, you want to use your left hand to grab the throttle and then move it forward and eventually you'll sort of fly into that fuel cell. Just make sure it's sort of slightly in front of you when you do fly forward at speed, so that you don't fly past it and miss it. But of course you do have the save from earlier. If you do want to go back, you can always revert back to that save. Anyway, after that's done, you can pretty much just keep pressing buttons, and eventually everything will go wrong, and we'll be able to carry on with the story.
I told you to keep it steady.
Good heavens! What a waste of perfectly good tea.
I think.
The dialogue is very funny in this game, so I do recommend if you, it's not a long game, even if you listen to all the dialogue, or read it if you're following the subtitles. It is thoroughly worth it. It's a lot of good humour in this. They break the fourth wall quite regularly. And it's not going to take you a lot longer if you don't skip the dialogue, maybe just a few minutes, so you might as well enjoy your time with the game. Anyway, when we get control back, once we've gone through that dialogue, we're going to get out of our seat with circle again, and then we need to leave, and we're going back to this sitting room that we were in earlier. But we're now going to go to a new room, which is just to the left there. That door, as soon as we come into this area, you can enter that other door to the left. And we want to interact with this large red locker. Now we're not going to be able to open it, but shaking it is going to cause the batteries to fall off the top, so we can pick them up.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Now we want to go into our inventory with triangle and combine the batteries with the video game controller.
Remarkable.
And from here we want to walk over these table football guys, or these Sabutio guys as I remember them. Maybe some of you people from the UK will remember Sabutio. Then we want to grab the glove. When we crush those football guys, that will pop a trophy, and you'll know you're done when the trophy pops. But that glove, of course, make sure you grab that off the sink to the right hand side of the room, and then we can head back. So we're going back to the cockpit. And the aim here is to give the controller, the video game controller, to Aled. So we need to sit down to be able to interact with him.
Found something to replace the controls you broke.
If we equip it in our inventory and then use it on Aled Jones.
Plug this in. See if it works.
There we are.
No joy.
Now there are going to be some more steps to getting the ship working again, of course.
Play.
No, Boyo. You'll have to install the
We need to download the drivers for that controller. So we're going to head back to the computer, which is of course in the sitting room. Now, once we're at the computer, we can equip our floppy disk that we picked up earlier and that we hopefully unlocked earlier, and we're going to place that into the floppy drive, and then we need to interact with the computer. Now when you interact with the computer, it may say that you can't copy it. It may say that it failed or something's wrong. That means that you haven't unlocked the floppy disk yet. So if that happens, just eject it from the drive again. I'm not sure, I don't think you need to use the paperclip this time, it will just come out on its own. But you can take it out and make sure to unlock it on the back, what's the word, examine it, spin it round, and then press a little button or the switch to unlock it. Now you'll actually see an example of that in a moment, because as soon as this copying has finished, we're going to grab this floppy disk and we are going to lock it for a trophy. The trophy is called One Can Never Be Too Careful. So in other words, we're just, playing it safe by locking this to make sure no one copies over it. So you want to equip the floppy here. Sorry, not equip it, you want to examine it and then turn it around with the analog stick and then press X on the little switch in the bottom corner, which will automatically light up when you spin it round. So back to the cockpit we go. This time Aled's going to be asleep, and you want to be careful here. You can wake him up just by interacting with him, but we don't want to do that because we'll miss out on a trophy if we do. So we need to equip our coffee that we haven't yet drunk, and we're going to use it on Alid, which is going to throw it over him and wake him up.
What's going on? What are you playing at, boyo?
I'm sorry. I don't know what.
Now once he's awake, we'll earn a trophy, and we'll get the opportunity to give him the disc with the drivers on. So we want to equip that, hand that to him.
Here, install this, and we should be underway.
And once all this is played out, remember if you want to try and skip stuff, some of it's skippable, some of it isn't. You can just try pressing the X button. It's trial and error really. I'm not really sure what determines whether dialogue can be skipped or not, but I did decide to skip the rest of that. So we're going to be heading to a new area now. We want to head out and go sort of away from the screen this time in the corridor. So we're going to walk forwards towards this hatch, and we want to open the hatch, but don't interact with it again just yet because we need to make another save here.
I haven't been up here long, and already I think I've started to lose muscle density.
So we're going to save the game. We can either save over our previous save, or if you want to have several saves throughout the playthrough just in case, you can make a new one. Now we're going to equip the washing up liquid, and we're going to use it, we're going to use it on the hatch itself.
Triple action. Removes grease.
Basically, we're too fat to be able to fit through the hatch, so this fairy liquid is going to sort of act as lubricant, I suppose, and allow us to get through. So you want to interact with the hatch and make your way down. Now that's going to pop a trophy, but we need to get that, we need to have the washing up liquid available later in the game for another trophy. You could complete the game without it, but we need it for another trophy later on. So we need to revert back to our save, and we're going to find another way of fitting through this hole. So what we're going to do is make our way back to the sitting room. And in here there's going to be a treadmill just next to the door. So we're going to use that to lose a bit of weight. Interact with it just here as we come in. You may have noticed it as we were walking past it earlier. Now to operate this, you want to press the X and square buttons alternately, mash them quite quickly. The quicker you mash them, then the faster you run, and eventually you'll run out of steam and it will automatically stop. So hopefully that slimmed us down enough so that we can fit through the hatch. It also pops a trophy as well, because there's two ways of fitting through this hatch, as we mentioned, and each one of them does pop a trophy. Now once we're down the ladder, we want to equip the glove, and we need to make it so that it fits us, because it's too small at the moment. So we're going to make our way through the door ahead of us here, and we want to use the glove on the air compressor. So pop that on there, and then you want to interact with the air compressor with the up option just to turn it on. And that's going to blow the glove up, stretching it out, and it'll be nice and big now, so it's going to fit us. So we want to pick it up.
I'm sure this will come in.
And then we are going to leave this room. And before we carry on with the story, there's a trophy we're going to grab involving Schrodinger's cat. Something that a lot of us are aware of these days. It's used in lots of comedies and things like that. So we want to enter the lab just here. We want to head down the steps behind the ladder and then into this lab. Now in the back corner of the room is a box, and this is basically Schrodinger's box. You can examine it with a square button. There's a few lines of dialogue, but ultimately you want to interact with it. And the idea here is that we want to interact with it once when the cat is alive and once when it's dead. So basically every time you enter this room, there's a random chance of it being alive or dead, it randomly decides. So I actually ended up entering twice, I think, where it was dead. In other words, there was no sound. So when I interact with it, nothing happened. But on the third time, sorry, I'm getting so tongue-tied today. On the third time, I came back in and interacted with the box, and you hear a meow. So if you don't hear anything, that means the cat's dead. And if you do hear something, if you hear a cat meow, then that means it's alive. So I believe this time it meows. Yeah, there we go. So that's going to pop that trophy. That's out the way now, because that's an easy one to forget. Some people suggest sort of interacting with it once and then coming back later in the game, but it's easy to forget that. Anyway, we're going to head down to the left-hand end of this corridor, all the way to the end into this door. This is another engineering section, so we're going to climb down the ladder, and we want to sort of walk forward a bit to where this toolbox is and interact with the toolbox, which is going to automatically give us a screwdriver.
It's a precision-engineered German motorized screwdriver.
Now we should already have our glove equipped. If not, make sure to equip it. And we're going to use it on this electrified gate here. And this is going to get open, but we're going to have a a bit of a Jurassic Park reference there. Anyway, we can head inside this area now and interact with this switch. From here, there's going to be a very random event, which doesn't really ever play out into anything. I think it's just kind of mocking movies and games that always have a sort of element of horror, like a generic horror element thrown in. But now we want to head back the way we came. So up the ladder, out the door, all the way back to the other ladder. And we want to make our way back to the sitting room, which is just about as far away as we can be, despite the fact that this game is very, very small. So I don't know if you can hear that siren going off in the background. That's in real life, not in the game. But when we finally get back to the sitting room, we're going to find Aled all the way in the back, sort of next to the kitchen door. You want to walk around this table here, and then we're going to talk to him. So this is one of the few occasions where we use the talk option.
Aye, boyo?
Now he's going to ask us to get a motor, which the screwdriver is going to count as, but don't give it to him yet. We want to make a save here. I think I walked away briefly, and then I remembered that we need to save the game, so you can make a separate one if you like, or save over one of the existing ones. And we're basically, we're going to go into the bedroom, which is the room just to the left near the entrance, if you remember, just here. Now when we're inside, we're going to use the screwdriver, so equip the screwdriver and use it on the red door, the big locker here that we interacted with earlier to get the batteries. And this is the only other time that I know of where that girl appears. The generic horror element, as I refer to it, because you know, once you've got the lock off, you want to open it, and he doesn't even realise. He grabs the item there, but we don't need that, so we are going to reload the save here. That was, of course, just to pop the "She's Behind You" trophy. Now once we've reloaded, we want to give Jones the screwdriver. So equip that and hand it over. And then there's going to be a bit of a cutscene or some dialogue or whatever. We're going to be in control of a rover, you know, one of those little cars, remote control car style things that they use on other planets and, well, on the moon or whatever. You can have a play around with it in this area if you like, just to get used to the controls. We're not going to be driving it very far, but it is a bit fiddly, so you can play around with it and kind of figure out how it works when reversing and things like that.
The new world. Quickly, break open a container of property of ER2 flag.
Eventually, though, we are going to take this outside, so the scenery is finally going to change. It's, you know, we've been cooped up in this ship for the entirety of the game up until this point, so once we are in control, you want to do a full 180, so turn back on yourself. And then, as I said, it's rather fiddly. The controls are, the sensitivity is a bit random. But if you just follow this pathway, eventually, after skidding out a few times and embarrassing myself, you'll eventually be picked up by an ape. So you can picture where this is going. There's a lot of kind of... this is almost like a spoof game, really. It's spoofing a lot of movies and other games and things like that.
We've been outmaneuvered. Someone's got here before us. We need to find out who that jolly well is and eject them from Her Majesty's New World Post.
So we're about to make our way outside. And there's a trophy for finding 6 rocks. Now these rocks are always in the same place, so I'll show you where they are. This is really such an easy platinum, guys. It's ridiculous. Believe it or not, we're not far off finishing already. And there's absolutely nothing in this that requires any skill. The only thing that you might fail and have to go back for is hitting the fuel canister while flying. And that's only if you just get unlucky and it doesn't happen to be in front of you. Alright, so when we're back in control outside, we're going to interact with this crate on the right hand side first. This is because we need to grab the binoculars. Now from here we're going to interact with the 4 rocks. Now you can't actually interact with them. The icon changes to an eye. So just use that eye and it will basically look at them because you're unable to pick them up. You want to just look at them and you can press the square button to examine them if you want for a bit more dialogue. But basically we're just using the up interact option, which happens to be just observing it. Pretty much the same as examining really. But you've got the 2 on the right hand side there, one near the ship and then one near the screen that you have to run towards the camera for, and then you've got this one on the left just behind that large rock which is easily missable, and then all the way in the back on the left hand side you've got a 4th one. Now the next 2 will be in the next little section, but first of all we need to speak to Aled. And remember, you can hold R2 to run, which is handy around this area especially because it's a bit larger, so you want to make your way across the ground a bit quicker. So we're going to talk to Aled here, and then we're going to be putting a, what's it called, a ladder down to be able to climb down the cliff here. So we want to interact with the ladder to climb down. And when we're at the bottom, you'll see the Planet of the Apes reference. We've got the Statue of Liberty there on the left. And you can actually interact with this, but you need to kind of run around in front of it or maybe stand there for a few seconds. Basically, if you're close to it, then eventually the Damn You All trophy will unlock. And now we've got these final 2 rocks. One is quite obvious right there in the middle of the path on the way down. And the other one is in the back corner. So the camera will shift around here. And in the very back corner there, you've got the final 6th rock. And that's going to pop a trophy for us. +1 geology. So if we make our way up through this area, on the right hand side you'll have a very random garden. I don't know who planted that. I'm guessing the guys that are already here, but it just looks a bit odd. If you interact with it, you're going to get a trowel. And, a trowel is a, kind of digging tool, a small spade, if you will. Now at this point you can skip some of this dialogue, but don't skip too quickly, because there is an option we need to choose. When we get the option of saying, certain lines of dialogue, we have to pick the correct one, which is by the power of Grayskull. He basically asks us how we're going to stop him. So you want to choose the bottom option, by the power of Grayskull. That's going to pop Cringer. And then you can pretty much choose any of these. I think you either have to choose all of them, or maybe there's one of them that works. I don't know really, but you just mash through all the options. Yeah. Anyway, so once we've distracted them and the conversation's over, we want to interact with the what do you call it, the little car that we're driving, the Rover. It's called Beagle 2-2. It's just behind us there. We can skip through this dialogue. So if you walk forward again and just interact with this smashed up Beagle Rover thing. Now this is going to give us a rock that we're going to be using later on. But before that, we need to go back into the ship. So you're going to follow this pathway all the way back up the ladder, back into the ship. Past the Statue of Liberty. Now we're heading for the bedroom again. So you may remember where that is. But when we get inside, we need to, make our way back up through the hatch that we had to lose weight to exit through. And we're going to be making our way to the bedroom and then to the bathroom that goes off the bedroom. And we're going to be using the trowel. I tell you what, with this cold and sore throat, I can't even say the word trowel without it sounding completely wrong. Hopefully you guys know what I mean. But once we're inside here, head back through this door on the left. And then we're going to be able to climb back up the ladder. I think that's why I've been so tongue-tied on occasion during this video, because certain words just don't come out right, and I'm so used to speaking clearly so everyone can understand me that when a word gets all tangled up thanks to my cold, it just feels weird, and I end up having to kind of start again and repeat myself. Anyway, we're back now in the bedroom here, and if we go into the bathroom in the back, then we want to equip the trowel. And we're going to use it on this kitty litter or cat litter tray. And thankfully, we're not going to be taking out of this tray what you might think. For some reason, we're going to find a metal detector. I have no idea what that's doing in a cat litter tray. But it's exactly what we need, so it's handy. We're going to leave the bedroom. And we then need to use the metal detector, which is already equipped, which is why I didn't go into my inventory, but you may need to equip it. We're going to use that on the settee here that's facing the TV, and this is where we found the game controller earlier on.
It's an elegant lady's purse, filled with loose change.
Now that will give us a purse. And we're going to be using that purse in the room with the cat, the box with the cat in, the Schrodinger's cat box. Now we've already done that trophy. If you haven't popped that trophy yet, we're going to be going back to the room. So go under the ladder, and you should be able to pop it now. You can pop it any time during the game, really, but just make sure you do get it at some point. We've already done it, so if you've done everything in this video so far, you don't need to worry. But next to that box is a typewriter, and we're going to just simply interact with the typewriter and make a save. And this is kind of harking back to the Resident Evil days where you had to find an item in the game to be able to save. Master of unlocking trophies. Now on the left-hand side of the room, there's a gramophone or a record player. We need to pick up the record that's currently, on the player. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our inventory and examine the record and then turn it round. And then if we equip the record and put it back on the gramophone, basically what we've done is turn the record over. Because on one side is heavy metal and on the other is a lullaby. I'm not sure why those two songs would be on the same record together. But now we want to jump on the bike, and the idea here is that we're going to send the frogs to sleep, those frogs in that kind of aquarium type thing. Now you'll see on the gramophone there's a dial and there's a green section, and you'll see the dial going up and down depending on how fast you're cycling using the X and square buttons. Now if you keep the dial within that green zone for long enough, then the frogs will go to sleep and you'll pop the trophy. And once you've done that, you can equip the purse, and you're going to use the purse on this frog tank. It's not an aquarium, is it? It's a frog tank. Now we're going to get to play one of those sort of claw grabber games. Now don't pick up a frog yet. You want to make sure that you're well away from the frog. And of course you move forward and back first, and then as soon as you start moving to the left and right, you can no longer move forward or back. So make sure you're in line with where you want to be. But as long as you're not going to pick up a frog, that's going to pop the nailed it trophy. In other words, you know, failing in this game at least once. Now we are going to pick up a frog because we need it for the story. So line it up and then move across and grab whichever frog you can.
Gotcha!
Now once it drops it down into the prize drawer there, we need to, I went to my inventory by mistake, but we need to open this prize drawer and grab the frog out.
A frog in the hand is worth 2 in the biological science testing facility.
Now we can combine the frog with the cheese. So in your inventory, use the combine option on the cheese, and it's going to stick them together because the frog is sticky, I guess. Now we're going to go all the way back outside. So just exit this room, climb back up those steps there, and then out of the airlock. And again, out of the main door to exit the Imperial Eyes. And we're going to be making our way back to the French guys who were stopping us from claiming this planet. So we need to head all the way back, down the ladder. You know, don't forget to run here, because it'll take a while if you walk. Head down the ladder here, and then all the way round. I mean, there's only one way you can go, so I don't really need to tell you, do I? I don't want to be patronising. Now, if you walk right up to the French guys, they'll shoot at you, which is fine, it doesn't matter, but you can activate them from back here, because what you want to do is use the frog with the cheese stuck to it on the French guys, and it should still be equipped. If not, just equip it in your inventory. And, you know, if you do walk too close and they shoot at you, that's fine. You can still, you know, you can still interact with them. It doesn't affect anything. Now, he's going to sort of reject the cheese that you've, you know, the idea is that you've sent the frog running off with some cheese to try and entice him away and get him to chase after the frog, because French people love cheese. But it's a rubbishy English, like mild cheddar. So we're going to come back and talk to Alet here. Now you need to choose two options. You need to say, do you have a frog handy? I chose the top option to begin with. That was just a mistake. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. But you're going to take a frog from him and also some cheese. So ask him for a frog and some cheese. And now what you're going to do is you can say bye to him. You're going to pop a trophy there. But we are going to just equip the cheese on its own, and we're going to interact with the French dude again. And we're going to just hold it up, and because he shoots at us, he's going to shoot some holes in it. And as you can imagine, that makes it look like a better quality cheese. Very lucky. Now what we can do is combine, forgetting what happened here, there was a bit of a pause. Yeah, we can combine the cheese, this new cheese, with the frog. And we're going to try the same thing again. So equip the frog and cheese and interact with Antoine. And now he is going to be sort of tempted by this cheese, and he's going to chase after the frog. So don't interact with the flag yet. I don't think it matters if you do, but first of all, we want to head inside their ship, and we're going to use the rock that we got from the rover earlier. So equip the rock. If you haven't got it, go back in and interact with the crashed rover, or the, I forget what it was called now. But we want to use that rock on the switch behind this sort of washing machine thing. Now we've got a short period of time to equip the fairy liquid, or the washing up liquid, and use that on this machine here. Now if you leave it too long it will turn back on, but don't worry, you can keep turning it off with the rock. So at this point, once you've got that bubbles trophy, which is a miscellaneous trophy, you can pick up the rock again and do the same thing, turn the security system off, or the emergency stop switch. Now we want to pick up the rock again and use the rock on the, what's it called here again? Yeah, this is the security system. I'm not sure why it's basically a washing machine, but we're going to chuck that in, and that's going to rumble around and basically break it. Now that the security is off, we can come back and interact with the flag, and we're going to be swapping it for a English flag or a British flag, and that's basically going to be the game. Oh no, there is one more step I almost forgot about. We're going to be using an iPad, not an iPad, an iPod. So interact with the flag, and then we're going to need to play the British national anthem, God Save the Queen, to, I guess, confirm our discovery of this planet. Now he's going to get his iPod out, and to be able to fast forward through, because there's several tracks on it, we need to use the left analog stick, just like you would on an iPod itself. You need to spin the left analog stick around as quick as you can, and eventually it will automatically stop when you get to the national anthem. And that is the final step of the trophy, of the platinum, guys. There will be a cutscene that plays out, and depending on how long I let this play for, you may notice that they do mention what I said at the beginning about how, you know, they'd like to make some sequels if this one sells enough. It says something like English will return, maybe, depending on sales. So hopefully enough people buy this to make it worth them making a sequel, or making maybe several sequels, because it is a super easy platinum, as you've seen, guys. And hopefully you've been able to earn it within the 45 minutes that I earned it in. It's the kind of game that you can watch a video for and just play the game as you're watching the video, because it's so simple, you're not really going to miss any steps. So there you have it, guys. I do apologise once again that I've been a bit tongue-tied today. My dodgy throat and sniffly nose are getting to me a bit, causing me to talk gibberish occasionally, and stopping me from being able to pronounce certain words correctly. But this is a fun game, you know. It's a lot of money, like I said, but it's an enjoyable title. It does, you know, the actual gameplay itself is very basic, but if you listen to the dialogue, it's actually quite funny. They do sort of tend to break the fourth wall quite a lot, and they make fun of some other tropes from games and movies and things like that. But that's literally it, guys. And you notice the name of that trophy, that's all we could afford. So maybe, I mean, they're kind of admitting that the game's very short, but that's all they could afford to make. So, you know, hopefully they make enough money off this one to be able to make a sequel. And hopefully it's, maybe there's a bit more to it, but fingers crossed for another nice, easy, quick platinum. So I want to say thank you very much for watching again, guys. I'm going to try and do a few more of these, you know, quick platinum trophy guides. I'm going to do Little Acre next. So that's I think like an hour-long platinum. So I look forward to that. Hopefully that will be sometime in the next week or so. But once again, thanks very much, guys. Thanks for all the support on the channel. We've reached 5,000 subs now, so that's pretty cool. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the game if you do buy it, and I'll catch you very soon.